My name is Paul. I've ridden back from India on my Enfield Bullet. It was 18,000 miles. The Bullet is sometimes not considered a long distance bike, but as a Royal Enfield 350, it is an absolute classic bike. A kind of retro styled 1950s bike that is still produced in Chennai and then sold around the world. I rode all the way back from Chennai in South India, overland through many countries, 26 countries in fact, 18,000 miles to get back to my home here in Kendal. I did the trip. I mean, selfishly, I just wanted to do it, but I've been involved with the Bateman's Trust, which is a charity formed in 1997, and I've become a trustee of the charity. And it's involved in Chennai specifically with children from disadvantaged backgrounds. Initially was involved with a school for children and orphan children, and allowing them the opportunity to get a springboard to go into a life of their own. Whilst I was there, I really felt the pull to take an exploration, buy a Bullet, which is made in Chennai, and then take the journey along the Karakoram Highway onto the Silk Road and take that back to Britain, back to my home. And the idea was that along the way I could see this trade route and all of the architecture and culture along the way. The first day is always a bit tentative, isn't it? And I think because I was new to riding, it was a new bike, I was in a city that I knew had crazy traffic, but that now I was kind of letting myself loose on it. I wasn't in a tuk-tuk or on a bus, I was actually riding my own motorbike through the streets of Chennai. So here we are in Budapest. I've just managed to find two excellent mechanics putting on my tank. Number one mechanic, number two mechanic. Look at this, the tanks are going to be on, the boxes are on. This is the way forward. And then setting out on my first day was an early start, saying goodbye to the children at the boarding home that is the Bateman's boarding home in Chennai, and then riding off. And I didn't have a destination in mind. Obviously Kendal is my end, but that was 4 months away. I didn't know where I was going to stay that night. I ended up travelling close to, it's about 200 kilometres north of Chennai, but it turned out I couldn't find any accommodation. I ended up riding through village after village saying, do you have a hotel or is there any hostel? And then I started speaking to some people and they pointed me towards a monastery that was down the road, and they invited me in, let me stay in some of their accommodation. I ended up sleeping on the porch because it was so hot. It was about 40 degrees at this point. So my first day was kind of quite a lot of things going on as I settled myself into this routine, going through the day with an idea of where I might stay, and then trying to, with it now, thinking ahead to what were the likely places where I'd find a place to stay. Lawrence, Paul, Taj Mahal, India, road trip.
Awesome.
This is the kind of road I dreamed of coming along.
Yeah, I know. Lovely road.
So here we are by the side of the road again. Bullet troubles. This time Lawrence has had his front light not working since yesterday. It appears that the fuse is gone, but maybe there is something else afoot here. So is that fuse blown again?
Must be, because he took all the fuses out and he was checking, and then he changed one. Which one? I don't know.
Some dodgy fuses and some dodgy wiring inside the lamp. Nice one! There's four-wheel Jeeps struggling to get across this crazy road that takes us across the river into Bihar. There's a car back there that's got itself stuck in the sand, and just by luck really managed to keep the bike upright. Having dumped myself in the Ganges earlier today, I'm just now going to perform Aarti and let this go down the river. Here we are on the Ganges, Lawrence and I, being rowed by this great local bloke as we slowly row all the way to the Himalayas, which are back that way. And I've got the map and the compass, just in case. Just in case I need help. Yeah, smile. Indian visa sorted, Indian section of the Carne sorted. Now it's time to go visit Nepal. No wonder your machines are knackered. Bit of road I've ever driven along. That is utterly mad.
Crazy night. I don't know what the time is.
10 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock. And Paul's bike got stuck here, deep inside, and took us nearly about 45 minutes to pull the bike out. And now the bike is all on and live. This was crazy.
It was in here, but
this is adventure.
This is adventure. Yeah, I think I brought a bit of the lagoon with me. Not the cleanest. It's now 10:30. We set off at 6 o'clock this morning.
Yeah.
That was a long day. We rested in Jomsom, and then on the route out was when I accidentally rode the bike off a bridge.
Just having a moment to calm down and reflect on a very, very close escape. Going over a bridge, coming down off the concrete onto the rocks. I hit a rock with the front wheel that sent me off balance, and rather than going right just onto the path, I decided I'd go left. I lost control of the bike. The bike started to go off the edge of the road, and that was time for me to jump off the bike and let the bike go down the ravine. Amazingly, the car stopped. People checked that I was okay, who brought ropes, and then, I don't know, a team of 8 or 10 of us, with them lashing it up and doing all the hard work, pulled it out of the ravine. I've been struggling to think of a name for it, but I think indestructible might be the term. Yeah, a lucky one, but these roads are dangerous. All of the roads in Nepal are chaotic at the best of times, but they are having a massive road rebuilding process at the moment, which means it's all dirt and mud and silt and sand. One thing that had been kind of like a childhood dream was to get to Tibet and go to Lhasa. To go to the home of the Dalai Lama was something that I dreamt about since I was a boy. So to be able to organise that whilst I was here in Kendal, to organise to get a group together, to start in Kathmandu and ride up and over the Himalayas onto the Tibetan plain and go to Lhasa was quite incredible.
Here we are, roof of the world. Just come to a nice big pass, nice high pass from Shegar to Shigatse. We're at 4,300 according to the itinerary, or 5,000 according to the guide.
Who will take over the Eastern College?
Lhasa is incredible, but it's a bit of a stage set, and going to the Patala Palace was a dream come true, a real highlight. But actually it was out of town and in the sort of unexpected places that that boyhood dream came to be real. My next sort of monumental bit of the trip was going into Ladakh, and going up to Leh was another dream, because it's the highest part of India. So you start to get into really high territory, and I was quite excited to do some really high passes on the bike. So we were going over 5,000 meters on multiple passes.
Plans not quite going as they should. I got as far as Dacha and found that the road is shut until at least 2 o'clock this afternoon. And then I see a queue lining up and people giving bits of information to a chap who looks relatively official, and he tells me that he's going to let me through to another army checkpoint, where he says with a little wink in his eye that there's a shortcut. I have no idea where I'm going. I have no idea whether this is going to lead me to Leh, but it is certainly going to be a glorious day in the mountains. I haven't got out first for the last, I don't know, hour. Slip sliding through that mud, which, you know, I'm starting to like a bit. It certainly adds to the challenge. You can just make out there our route down through the Sanskar. Feels like we're onto slightly better roads, and well, maybe not quite so bumpy, and who knows, I might actually get second gear. Wouldn't that be nice?
And as I was coming back from there, my bike was really struggling at altitude, which it would anyway because there's less oxygen. But I think because I'd been going on, they're all dirt roads, and getting dust and dirt into the machine, the fuel injection system, that I was really, really underpowered.
Okay, so riding the clutch just to keep the revs up has finished the clutch. So I've pushed the bike for about, I don't know, a kilometre and a half. It's been downhill mostly.
The road goes south on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays, and then on Tuesdays and Thursdays it goes north. So I realised that now that I've broken my clutch, it's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I have to get to where I'm going that day, otherwise I'm going to be stuck with traffic coming against me.
And this bloke is trying to help me by reversing the lorry up to this stone, so we can get the bike in the back.
I couldn't quite see how this was going to work, but I had no other options, so I said yes, okay. And I had to trust this guy.
I don't even know this guy's name yet, but here he comes, my saviour.
And he gets on the high side between the rock and the lorry, and I get on the low side with the bike above my head, and we manhandle this bike onto the back of the truck. And we've already talked about where I was planning to go that night, and he says, no, I'm not stopping there. I've just got married. I need to go home to see my wife. So he's saying, we're going to go all the way to Manali, which was much, much further than I planned on going. And then we carried on through the night and drove till just before dawn when we were in Manali. We both slept in the back of his truck, and then in the morning he took me to the nearest Enfield Bullet garage. I gave him a hug, thanked him, he didn't want any of my money, and he drove off. And I was then in the hands of the mechanics. It was like I'd been travelling and shoveling sand into any of the pipes on the bike.
So the Silk Route has always been on the River Right, coming up this valley, and potentially when the river was at different height, they would have felt the need to have carved this path out of the side of the rock. This is before Peckers and anything mechanical. So this route here, you can see that it's been trashed by rockfall. Could potentially be one of the Silk Routes. How incredible is that?
Well, I went through a lot of countries on the way back, but I think another kind of real dream come true for me when I was getting quite excited about going along the Silk Road and imagining Marco Polo as he travelled across Central Asia, was the blue mosques in Uzbekistan. It is just as you imagine when you see pictures of Iran and Isfahan, but you don't see these places, you don't hear so much about them other than Samarkand, which was another boyhood adventure story that I'd love to go to Samarkand, which was amazing, and it has got blue domed mosques and people selling you all sorts of beautiful fruits. And these were like day-long journeys through the desert to go from oasis town to oasis town. Was then going on to Khiva, which was sort of the last post to a citadel to go and stay at before making my way across the desert towards Kazakhstan.
Well, this road is just about all potholes and no flat, made by these lorries. I'm about 120 miles from Bainu, so I'm going to do it all in one day, which is fantastic. But I just took on the mother of all potholes, and everything came off the back. It's been like this for a couple of hours, and I've got a couple more hours of this to go. Well, actually probably 3 hours of this to go. These balloons are really, really close to the ground. I mean, they're
basically scraping the tops of these hotels. Wow, it's a proper, it's a proper circus of balloons. I mean, there's hundreds of people out here looking at them. I mean, he's going to land in somebody's bedroom.
Well, it seems a fitting thing to come to Venice, home of Marco Polo, at the end of the Silk Route, after weeks of travelling along it, to finally have a beer in St. Mark's Square. Well, I can't quite believe it, but this is the beach at Quiberville-sur-Mer on the La Manche, and I am having my last night in France, and I'm just going to go and have a swim, not the whole way, but just have a little bit for my last night. Yeah, I can't quite believe we're docking and got the White Cliffs of Dover behind me. Yeah, incredible.
I had thought that this kindness of strangers was something that I was going to find, or that I had been finding all through my journey through these exotic places, India, Pakistan and Central Asia into Turkey, and even through the Balkans. Lots of people being exceptionally friendly. I thought that that was going to dry out the closer to home I got. I couldn't believe that literally on my last day I get a puncture on the M6 about Warrington. Sounds really unglamorous. And I thought, I cannot get my bike towed home from here. I'm literally an hour from home. Within 5 minutes, this guy on a motorbike pulls up beside me and goes, "Are you okay?" And I say, "I'm fine." He says, "What do you need?" And I go, "Well, it's a bit embarrassing, but I've got everything apart from a pump." And he goes, "Don't worry, I'll ride home and then I'll get in my car and I'll come back, I'll bring a pump and we can sort out your puncture." The motorway got closed, and so no cars were coming past me apart from the motorway police, who came and said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I've got a puncture." And they did help me by allowing this Polish chap, Martin, to come through the traffic which had been stopped for the accident, to come to me to help me fix the tyre whilst they coned us off. So then Martin, who again I have to trust, but he's already shown me what an amazing chap he is. We put all of my kit into the back of his car, we drive off for the next exit. He becomes instant friend. We then put all of the stuff back on my bike. And I start to drive up onto the motorway, thanking him for all of his help. And I'm on my way back to Kendal. So the kindness of strangers extended all the way to the M6 and the Warrington turnoff, which kind of gave me, it was a nice, strangely fitting end to a journey that was more about the people that I met in the end than just the places that I saw. The strangers, when you trust them, they extend their friendship to you, and that's an incredible thing. I think if there's one takeout from the journey, the whole journey, was that friendship that can come out of just trusting people.
I'm back! Oh man!
Welcome back, Maka.
Thank you. Yeah, alive, all balloons. It's cool. Yeah, Ganesh's been looking after me.
It's quite a surreal thing being on the road for 4 months and then turning up at something very familiar like your front door, and turning off the engine thinking, well, that's it, I'm done. I guess the biggest strange thing about it was that I'd been a solo rider. I'd just been doing my own thing, making my own decisions, stopping when I wanted. If I wanted to go back, I'd go back. If I wanted to stay an extra day, I'd stay an extra day. And I think coming back to family life, to my wife and my two lads, Alfie and Gil, is that you're starting to make group decisions again. Discussions about what you're going to do and how things are going to be. So coming back into other people being in charge of or being a part of the decision that you make. I think that was a big shock. Yeah, walking into the house and everything being in the place that it was. It's a classic when you go on holiday for a fortnight, you come back and the holiday has been epic, but you just come back to the same stuff. Going away for 4 months, going through 26 countries over 126 days, 18,000 miles, going from being a novice rider to being somebody who's done a lot of riding through a lot of terrain, a lot of different countries, and then just sitting down at your own dining room table and having a cup of tea is quite a surreal moment, possibly the most surreal moment.